Daredevil Born Again may have just wrapped up a very exciting first season, but my god did that finale leave us with a lot to talk about. From Kingpin squishing a man's head like a grape, to the hardest Radiohead needle drop of all time, they are cooking and setting up an even more exciting second season. But without a doubt, the biggest point of discussion has been this moment right here.
We need an army.
It's clear that the only way Kingpin is going down for real this time is with Matt leading an army of vigilantes to stop him, which sounds like the coolest idea ever to me. Obviously, we're gonna need to see him actually assemble that army because if he only has Cherry by his side, New York City is cooked. I fully understand why they didn't have any other heroes in that shot because they still wanted the end of that season to feel like a loss. So they definitely made the right call, but it's hilarious how Matt is dropping the coldest lines of all time, talking about being the city without fear while surrounded by Cherry and Cop number 4. And for the last few weeks, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this prophesized army and who should be joining Daredevil in his rebellion against Fisk's fascism. So I've compiled a list of every character I can think of who would make sense to appear next year, and we're gonna go through them all to decide who should be part of Daredevil's army. And if you think I missed someone at any point in the video, I promise you just skipped over that part. Up first, I want to get the most obvious candidate out of the way because he was teased in a previous episode of Daredevil and fans have been dying to see him interact with our beloved Hornhead. I'm of course talking about everyone's favorite character with the initials SM, Stiltman, baby! You already know who the GOAT is! Teased all the way back in the Season 1 finale, I have been crying out probably an annoying amount of times to see him in the MCU already. Has this bit ran its course yet? Well, I don't care, because until I see him, it will never end. Okay, but for real, Born Again did everything in its power to tease Spider-Man without ever actually saying his name. From Kingpin mentioning
man who dresses in a spider outfit
in episode 2, to MCU Spidey's leitmotif playing right before Matt talks about needing an army. It is clear that Marvel wants these characters to cross over just as much as I do, which says a lot. This isn't me coping like I usually am either. The Newton brothers confirmed this was indeed the MCU Spider-Man theme being played. Narrative-wise, it is a no-brainer to include Spider-Man in this story. In-universe, he's the most popular vigilante in New York City and would become public enemy number 1 the moment Fisk gave his task force orders to kill. Plus, with how the ending of No Way Home left Peter, vigilantism is all he has after sacrificing his identity. It would be such a powerful story to see how angry Peter gets when Fisk threatens to take away his only safe haven after throwing himself into his work as Spider-Man. But unfortunately, we aren't allowed to have nice things. With Marvel and Sony's custody battle holding Spider-Man hostage, I don't think we'll ever get to see him in a live-action television series. Marvel simply don't have the rights for something like that, and I doubt Sony would ever let them use him for something they couldn't even profit off of. So for as perfect as that team-up may be, I fear it's forced to go down as the biggest missed opportunity in MCU history, which is sickening to me. We were on the verge of greatness, man. We were this close! But let's not focus on what could have been. Let's look towards what still can be. There are so many other characters to choose from for this team-up that we are spoiled for choice. So let's go through the actual viable candidates one by one, and for fun, the options are going to get more delusional as the video goes on, and trust me, my suggestions are about to go off the rails fast. Thankfully, Marvel was gracious enough to bless us with the news of Kristen Ritter's return as Jessica Jones in Season 2, which put the biggest smile on my face. I may have had to completely re-edit this section of the video where I was pitching her return, but it was absolutely worth it to have that grand return finally confirmed after all these years. When you have Kristen Ritter playing a flawless adaptation of Jessica, you should want to bring her back as much as humanly possible. Jessica Jones Season 1 is arguably the best season of Marvel television, and it's crazy that they didn't make any more after that. So I hope that her return in Born Again can lead to a new spin-off for her, but I'm honestly just stoked for all the narrative potential she's bringing with her. She's the member of the Defenders Matt knew the best, ever since he entered her Worlds of Purple through that bright red door. He has been annoying Jessica to no ends with his superhero antics, and I love it. They have such a fun dynamic together, as she's probably the only person on the planet who can out-sass Matt, and I am so excited over the fact that we're gonna see that again. There is nothing I need more than to see Jessica make fun of Matt's new costume with the double Ds. That would make my year. And Daredevil could really use some muscle on his army. If you throw Cherry up against Fisk, it's gonna make that Ben Urich fight look competitive in comparison. Jessica's super strength would be a huge aid in his mission. I also think it could be really cool to see her work alongside Karen in an attempt to take Fisk down the right way. A private investigator teaming up with a journalist is an incredibly easy way to find the silver bullet that will finally impeach Mayor Kingpin for good. And if we're talking about bullets, there's only one man who can pull through in that regard. Okay, well I guess two, because Buck is technically Bullet in the comics, but I'm clearly talking about the Punisher. Considering that we already saw them team up, it's a no-brainer that we can expect the Punisher to play a pivotal role next next season. While his story is set to continue in a standalone special presentation, which makes me so happy by the way, I'm very confident that we'll see him return to confront the Kingpin. I doubt his presentation will wrap up the entire corrupt cop story, as that's tied directly to Fisk's anti-vigilante task force, so just let us see Frank go on a bloodthirsty killing spree for an hour before he returns fighting side by side with Red. Plus, the last time Frank interacted with Fisk, he promised that
next time I see you, only one of us walks away.
Now feels like the perfect time to circle back around to that threat as the unstoppable force meets the immovable object once again. Matt trying to stop Frank from killing Fisk would make for an incredibly dramatic finale to the season, and who knows, maybe that is how they finally put away Kingpin for good. Considering he's already survived one shot to the head though, I doubt that would really keep him down. It'd most likely just be a quick nap for the Kingpin before he comes back stronger than ever. Just don't let John Bernthal hear about that, because for some reason, this man has dedicated his life to hating naps.
I don't take naps, man. I don't take naps.
But if you're a normal person who actually likes to nap, you need to check out today's sponsor, Manta. Programming. Another character that Born Again has set up to join Matt's cause is Angela Del Toro. After her uncle tragically died in a moment that still gets my blood boiling, Angela immediately started showing early signs of vigilantism, and that condition is uncurable. When she saw Matt wasn't going to do anything to avenge Hector's murder, she immediately went to investigate Muse on her own. A terrible idea, but it's the passion for justice that Hector has instilled in her that makes her the perfect choice to join this team of vigilantes. Granted, she's a lot younger than her version of the White Tiger usually is, so Marvel may want to hold off on her officially taking up the amulet, but I do think she should play a role in this story. Even if it would be so funny to have this child hanging around all these grown-ass men, especially considering the fact that she'd kick all their butts with her powers. After Fisk practically sanctioned and encouraged Hector's assassination, it would be so satisfying to see her get revenge on that big bald bozo. There's no better way to bring all the themes of vigilantism from the first two seasons full circle than by including Angela here. Matt refused the call to action and it got Hector killed. Now is his chance to fix that mistake and atone for his sins by protecting his niece. It would be such a beautiful way to honor Hector's legacy, and I think it would be a huge missed opportunity to skip out on that. Before we dive into the characters I'm sure we're all waiting to hear about, there's one hero I haven't seen enough people talk about, and that's Echo. Outside of Daredevil, Maya has the strongest relationship with Fisk in the MCU. Chronologically, she's even known Fisk longer than Matt ever has, and I think it would be a huge mistake to exclude her from this event. The father-daughter relationship they have is built on lies that have only just started to crumble around them. And while the Echo finale brought them to a cathartic conclusion, it feels like there's so much more of her story left to be told with Fisk. Matt and Maya also had a brief run-in during the blip, so I think it would be fun to bring them back together after all these years. I'm sure Matt has been very curious who this random woman was that was able to keep up with him, and Born Again confirmed that he does know about Maya shooting Fisk in the head.
Didn't she shoot you in the face?
So he'd definitely be interested in linking up with her. Echo could be the secret weapon they need in this fight as the one remaining person Fisk cares about in this world. Under all those layers of manipulation, I truly believe that Fisk does love Maya. So it would be fascinating to see if he ordered his task force to kill her or not. Maya taking advantage of their bond to stop his tyranny is the way to go. She genuinely needs to be here if they want to tie up all of Fisk's loose ends in an emotionally satisfying conclusion to the Kingpin saga. Alright, let's just get to what we've all been waiting for now, as I am not immune to fan service. I think all of our minds immediately jumped to the Defenders when Daredevil mentioned needing an army, as they're pretty much the only friends he has nowadays, after, you know. Sorry, too soon? I have no idea how mayoral elections work, and it seems like way too much effort to do a deep dive into, so I'm not gonna do that. The MCU has already given Fisk more power than any other mayor has ever had anyways, so a realistic interpretation of the law is way out the window by now. We're gonna need someone to replace Fisk as the mayor once he's inevitably kicked out of office, and there's no better choice than the hero of Harlem, Luke Cage. Mike Coulter's take on Luke does not get the credit it deserves, because my god, was he so great in that series. The fact that his time with the character was cut short will always bother me, especially with season 2's insane cliffhanger. I would have killed to see a third season with Luke running Harlem and seeing if that power would corrupt him. Born Again did include a reference to Harlem's Paradise, the club he now runs, so it's clear that they want us thinking about him at this point. And now with Fisk getting more control over the criminal world than ever with his Red Hook initiative, it's only a matter of time until his empire collides with Luke's. He perfectly ties into the themes of corruption and would make for such an obvious choice to join this army. I mean, come on, The guy is literally bulletproof. He could wipe out all of Fisk's dirty cops without even breaking a sweat. Just please let him actually wear a comic book costume this time around. It's the easiest costume of all time, and they were still too afraid of it because it was a bright color. So whether it's that t-shirt or the black and yellow suit, please drip my man out already. And we aren't going to bring Luke Cage back without his fellow hero for hire, Iron Fist. I know everyone has their own opinions on MCU Iron Fist, but I strongly believe that he deserves a second chance at redemption. Yeah, that first season was genuinely miserable and a poor adaptation in every single way, from the characterization to the combat, but they were kneecapped from the start. The showrunner was a notorious penny pincher, and Finn Jones' schedule was so busy that he was only getting to learn the fight choreography 15 minutes before they were about to start shooting. I was one of the 6 people who watched season 2, and there was a genuine improvement over what came before, which isn't saying much, but they embraced the Iron Fist mythos with open arms and did a lot to fix Danny's characterization. But it's his cameo in Luke Cage season 2 that really sold me on his casting.
Starting to sound like I did. It's not good.
He finally came into his own as the Zen version of the character I have longed for, so just let me see that already. Finn Jones has proven before that with the right material, he is the perfect choice to play Iron Fist. I would love to see what he can do with Daredevil's stunt and writing team as he can finally play a fully realized version of Iron Fist. Also, he canonically watched over Hell's Kitchen while Matt was going through his dead phase, so besides Matt, he probably knows the city better than anyone. There's a level of respect between those two that I would love to see explored more, and I think Born Again Season 2 is the right place to start that. And also, once again, he has actual powers, including this sick trick where he can control bullets now. We desperately need to see more of that in action. Kingpin may be able to tank explosions now, but one good hit from the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kunlun, sworn enemy of the Hand, would have him missing those times when he was a boy. That's terrible to say. Rounding out the cast from the Defenders is Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, 2 characters who were in that series but don't get the respect they deserve. Better known as the Daughters of the Dragon in the comics, this duo very nearly got their own spin-off at Netflix, and I'm still bummed we never got to see that. I know we like to romanticize the Netflix era because it gave us the masterpiece that was Daredevil, but man, they really dropped the ball on everything else in some way. I think it could be really cool to see Colleen and Misty make a return, especially with how well they would tie into the themes of the show. At the end of Iron Fist Season 2, Colleen became the new Iron Fist with a sick glowing katana, and then they canceled the show and we never got to see her again, which is a crime. Considering the fact that she's a vigilante, she's obviously going to have a problem with Fisk's martial law. I'd honestly love if the task force wasn't able to capture her because she's simply too goated. As for Misty, she's literally a cop. She could make for a great point of view character to see how things operate in precincts nowadays with Fisk sanctioning police brutality. You could honestly tell a really powerful story with Misty about coming to terms with the fact that the system is flawed as she leaves it to become the detective she was always meant to be. It writes itself. I need everyone at Marvel to stop forgetting those 2 characters exist because they have a ton of exciting narrative potential that we need to capitalize on. The last big holdover from the Netflix universe that I'd love to see return is Elektra. And I know what you're thinking, but shut up. Alright, just shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't care if she died. If Matt can survive that building falling on top of him, then she can too. Elektra practically dies on any day that ends in Y, and she always comes back anyways. It's what she's known for. There's no way that Marvel doesn't bring her back one day because, man, I miss seeing her and Matt's toxic relationship. They bring both the best and worst out of each other, which is why they're easily my favorite of Daredevil's relationships. It would be so nice to see the both of them fighting side by side again, especially now that Kingpin is in the mix. I would honestly love to see how Elektra would respond to how violent Matt has become. Admittedly, this one's probably a little impractical because I feel like Elektra's return is something that deserves an entire season of storytelling devoted to it, but I had to mention her. You better believe I'm gonna do my part in putting this idea out into the universe just on the sheer chance that I can manifest a revival. But if you really want to get delusional, get ready for the next few suggestions I have because we're about to throw all reason out the window. What if we had Kate Bishop join Matt's army? And I'm not just saying that because she's my favorite female superhero and I really want to see Haley Steinfeld, although that is true, but you can make a really strong argument for Kate deserving a spot on this team. Outside of Daredevil and Spider-Man, she's the most prominent New York-based vigilante, so of course there would be a target on her back. Get it? Because she's an archer. Also, we can't forget that Marvel Studios' Kingpin arc began in Hawkeye what feels like a lifetime ago. Fisk made his grand MCU return dripped out of his mind in that Hawaiian shirt and hat, so it's only fitting if we end this Kingpin saga with Kate there to help take him down too. She also managed to hold her own against him, which is crazy impressive considering he's a wall of muscle now. I have no idea how that rematch will go now that Fisk is letting loose without restraints, but I am here for it. The only reason I don't see something like this happening is because it very much so seems like the MCU is setting Kate up to be a young Avenger, or a champion, whatever they end up being called. So while narratively I think it makes sense for her to appear here, I don't think it's the most likely option because I doubt they want her to be operating on two separate teams at the same time, which is a huge shame because any time we can see Haley Steinfeld is a good time. A very, very good time. The same can be said for a character like Ms. Marvel. Episode 5's standalone bank heist did everything in its power to set up an inevitable confrontation between Kamala Khan and Matt Murdock. They have no choice but to pay off Matt getting dinner at the Khan household one day, so naturally, considering how heavily they tease those characters crossing paths, you would expect Ms. Marvel to appear in season 2, right? Jersey isn't that far from New York. All it takes is one train ride, and Kamala is there helping Matt fight against Fisk. Maybe she needs to enter the city to rescue her dad from a dangerous situation and ends up going on a side quest to help Matt. I think that's a really cool and natural way to get her involved in the story. And you can't tell me that their interactions wouldn't be hilarious. Seeing someone as desperate as Matt deal with this beacon of positivity in Kamala would make this idea worth it for that alone. But Born Again made sure to mention that Kamala is out in California right now, and considering that season 2 seems to be picking up right where they left off, I doubt she'll be back in time for this event. It's unfortunate because Iman Vellani brings so much life to whatever she does, but please just get the ball rolling on Young Avengers already, and I'll be satisfied. Some of you are absolutely going to hate me for this next one, but that's your loss. I would do unspeakable things for She-Hulk to appear in Born Again. After that brilliant Daredevil crossover we got, Marvel should have made it their priority for these two to meet again. Their chemistry is electric, as Jen is someone who can actually understand Matt's struggle in both worlds. That man was never happy before he met her, but in the brief time they knew each other, he couldn't stop smiling. Even when he met her parents and sensed just how bad Scar's haircut was, he was happy, and that says a lot because God, that haircut was ugly. And then the universe painfully corrected that. But my point stands that I need these two back together again. Matt isn't exactly spoiled for choice on what superheroes he knows, so Jen makes for an easy option to call up. The only problem is that for this story, I don't see a way that they could bring She-Hulk in where she doesn't just immediately solve every problem. She's stronger than anyone else on this team, and completely bulletproof, so it would be incredibly easy for her to walk into the mayor's office, knock out Fisk, twerk on his lifeless body, and then bam, the day is saved. Also, I don't think Born Again has the budget to do She-Hulk. I mean, She-Hulk didn't even have the budget to do She-Hulk. And considering the grounded nature of this show, she would feel a little bit out of place, unfortunately, so I fear we may have to abandon this idea. But I'll never forget what could have been. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, what if Doctor Strange was here? I know that comes completely out of left field, but the Sanctum Sanctorum is located in the heart of New York City, and surely Fisk wouldn't want him out on the streets. I doubt they were able to arrest him either, as he could have just sent them all to hell with the flick of his wrist. As surreal as it would be to see Daredevil interact with an actual sorcerer, there is more of a chance that I show up in Born Again Season 2 than Doctor Strange. Not only does he just completely shatter any sense of stakes by showing up and fixing everything with magic, but he's also off in the dark dimension right now. Wong, on the other hand, though, he's available. Who wouldn't want the Sorcerer Supreme on their team? Why would we even need that bozo Strange in the first place? But again, no way this happens. Introducing magic into this corner of the universe out of nowhere is game-breaking, so sorry Wongers. I just had to mention them because they are definitively in New York, and I feel like they would be affected by this in some way. Someone that isn't in the city, though, is Mark Spector, Jake Lockley, and Stephen Grant, aka the Moon Knight system. But damn it, that won't stop me from dreaming. I know the series took him in a more supernatural route, but the one thing I really want to see out of MCU Moon Knight in the future is him taking a more grounded and street-level approach. It would be so much fun to see him randomly show up in an episode of Born Again where Jake Lockley is just casually driving around Matt Murdock in his taxi. Just think of the possibilities with a team-up between these characters. Two brutal vigilantes with a very different moral compass and complex relationships with their god. There is so much to explore with a Moon Knight and Daredevil team-up that every moment we aren't getting closer to it, I go a little more insane, which honestly probably explains a lot of the choices on this list. Unfortunately, for as cool as that idea would be, Moon Knight is currently located in London, and I don't see that changing off-screen anytime soon. I feel like we need to see a second season of Moon Knight before this character can properly interact with other heroes. In a perfect world, we would get it, but I'd rather not rush this arc for Moon Knight and allow them to get this character in a place where their Daredevil team-up would hit even harder after he's gone through more developments. Marvel just needs to stop being so cowardly and make Moon Knight Season 2 already. It's been 3 years, man. What are we waiting for? Okay, this next idea isn't in my script at all, but like, what if the new Avengers showed up? I feel like Fisk taking over New York City could definitely be an Avengers level threat, and considering the fact that the new Avengers have CIA backing, Matt could genuinely use their help. My last suggestion is going to catch pretty much all of you off guard, but I really want to see Cloak and Dagger show up in Born Again. I honestly don't even really have a reason for this one. I just really want it. Ever since their show on Freeform got canceled because I was the only person watching it, I have been dying to see Cloak and Dagger make their MCU return. Two of my favorite characters with such a rich backstory and history together, how could you not want to see them again? At the end of Cloak and Dagger Season 2, Tandy and Tyrone left Louisiana to go explore the country. Who's to say they didn't end up in New York City? Terrible timing to show up there, although there's not really any time to live in MCU New York. They have 15 9/11s every week, but they could make for some great allies in Matt's war against Fisk. They're traditionally New York-based superheroes in the comics, and it's about time we saw that reflected in the MCU. Every single previous option happening at the same time is much more likely than this ever happening, but I want it bad enough that I think I can make it happen by putting it in this video. And if not here, just have them appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day or something. Just please give me what I want. They're more popular than ever now with Marvel rivals putting them on the map. Just bring Cloak and Dagger back to me. I am not above begging. I will get on my hands and knees, whatever it takes. Alright, that brings us to the big question everyone's been wondering throughout the video: who should be part of Daredevil's army? In a perfect world, we'd be able to have all of them here, but that is just so incredibly impractical and would be way too hard to balance, so I've narrowed it down to 7 other people alongside Daredevil. If you couldn't tell by now, it's pretty obvious who the team lineup is going to be. Probably not my best idea to rank each option from most likely to most delusional in hindsight, since it basically just spoiled my choices up top, but it's too late now. I think this team should consist of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, White Tiger, Echo, and the Punisher. It might have been predictable, but it's predictable for a reason because it's such an obvious team lineup that heavily ties into the themes of this show. So many different characters from so many different backgrounds and a wide range in superpowers that could make for some incredible action scenes, all while we get a very satisfying and emotional payoff for all their character arcs. It's small enough of a team that you can manage every member and give them all fleshed out motivations, but it also strikes the perfect balance between fan service and natural storytelling. Just be lucky I didn't unironically put Cherry on this list because boy, I really thought about that. But who do you want to see as a member of Daredevil's army in Season 2? I would genuinely love to hear what everyone has to say and continue the conversation down below. And while you're at it, you may as well give the video a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you don't do it, I will play the clip of Foggy getting shot again, and none of us want to see